If you grew up playing rally games in the late 90s or even early 2000s, there's a very specific feeling you probably remember. And it's not realism, I'm talking about vibes. The feeling of blasting down a dirt road at impossible speeds, sliding through corners you absolutely shouldn't survive, guided by a co-driver yelling vague instructions while your car dances on the edge of control. That feeling is exactly what Drive Rally is chasing. Developed and published by Pixel Perfect Dude, Drive Rally, or should I say Drive Rally, is a deliberately nostalgic arcade-leaning rally game that wears its influences proudly. It's not trying to compete with Dirt or WRC on realism, it's not pretending to simulate real-world physics, instead it's just aiming straight for that classic rally fantasy, the kind that prioritizes immediacy, readability, and flow over complexity. So the big question is, does Drive Rally succeed at being a modern throwback? And more importantly, does that approach actually hold up in today's racing game landscape? So let's find out. Before we properly talk shop, it's important to understand something very clearly. Drive Rally knows exactly what it wants to be. This is not a sandbox racer, it's also not a sim, and it's definitely not a massive career-driven racing RPG. It is a focused rally experience built around short, but somewhat intense stages, time trials, and mastery through repetition. The structure is simple. You pick a car, you pick a stage, and you race against the clock. There's no wheel-to-wheel racing, no AI rivals blocking your line. Instead, the challenge comes from reading the road, interpreting pace notes, managing your speed and grip, and pushing yourself to shave those milliseconds off of your best times. That design philosophy immediately puts Drive Rally in the arcade camp, but not in a shallow way. It's arcade in the sense that it respects your time and doesn't demand encyclopedic knowledge of car mechanics just to have a good time, and that design choice really fits around everything else in the game. Now before we go any further, if you're new around here and you enjoy racing game content, then why not hit that subscribe button and tap the bell for notifications to stay up to date with my future uploads. And whilst you're at it, if you want to be the first to hear about all my upcoming projects or just come and talk about cool games, then why not join my Discord server using the link in the description below. And also we occasionally do giveaways there, so that's another incentive for you. Anyway, that's enough selling myself to you, let's talk about the handling and how the driving feels. So the handling model in Drive Rally is unapologetically arcade focused. Now, I had read some complaints about this handling model, but the game got a massive update in December, which supposedly fixed this model, so I did not play the game before this update. So in my view, the cars are responsive, somewhat forgiving, predictable, and extremely willing to slide around, which is a lot of fun. You can throw a car into a corner at high speed, drift about, and actually control it instead of fighting the physics engine. Counter steering feels natural, throttle control matters, but mistakes don't instantly end your run. This is a game that wants you to feel confident. If you clip a corner a little too wide, you're not automatically doomed or dead. If you misjudge a turn, you often have a chance to recover, and that forgiveness is intentional. The driving model prioritizes flow over punishment. You're encouraged to keep momentum, chain corners together, and stay aggressive rather than cautious. It's closer to classic Sega Rally or early Colin McRae than anything modern and sim-heavy. Now, there is of course a downside to that. For experienced rally sim players, not me, the physics will probably feel a bit too simplified. There's less nuance in weight transfer, surface variation, and mechanical feedback, and once you've mastered the basics, the ceiling doesn't really climb any higher. But here's the thing. That trade-off, in my eyes, is exactly why Drive Rally works. I kind of want to stop saying hashtag. It removes friction between player intent and on-screen action. When you mess up, it feels like your mistake, not the game system's working against you. And when you nail a perfect corner sequence, it feels incredibly satisfying. This is a game that makes you feel fast, even when you're not driving perfectly, which is perfect for me. One of Drive Rally's strongest elements is its stage design. The environment spans snowy forests, dusty deserts, lush countryside roads, and other classic rally biomes. Each location is visually distinct without becoming overwhelming. The key word that I would have to use here is definitely readability. Corners are easy to read at a high speed, road edges are clear, and hazards are telegraphed visually rather than hidden. This is crucial because the game does move fast. If the environments were cluttered or overly detailed, it would become more on the frustrating side rather than fun. The stylized presentation keeps focus where it belongs, on the road, in front of you. Stages are built around rhythm rather than surprise. You're encouraged to learn the flow of each track, memorize sequences, and improve over time. It's not about reacting to chaos, it's about mastering patterns. That said, there is a sense of repetition over longer sessions. While the environments look different, the structural philosophy behind the stages remains incredibly consistent. You're rarely thrown any curveballs that dramatically change how you approach. For short bursts, this is perfect, but for marathon sessions, it can start to feel samey. And I can attest to that. I think I sat and played for a few hours, and it did start to get a bit repetitive after the second hour. Still, as a rally playground designed for replayability rather than spectacle, the stage design does its job pretty damn well. Now, no rally game feels complete without a co-driver, and Drive Rally absolutely #understands that. Ugh, god, I'm sorry guys. Throughout each run, you're accompanied by a navigator calling out upcoming turns, hazards, and road conditions. These pace notes are simplified compared to real rally terminology, but in my eyes that's definitely a good thing because they're easy to understand, they're delivered clearly, and timed well enough that they do still matter. Beyond the functionality, the co-drivers add a lot of personality to the game. There's humour in the delivery of the lines, there's character in the voice lines, and it breaks up what could otherwise be a purely mechanical experience. One of the co-drivers literally sounds like Arnold Schwarzenegger, and that is just absolutely fantastic.
Precision, passion, and power, that's our mantra today. Left 2, right 2, right 3.
That said, the system isn't perfect. Occasionally, timing or clarity can feel a little bit off, especially at very high speeds, and there's limited customization in how pace notes are delivered. You can't fine-tune call distances or terminology in any deep way. But for the game's target audience, the system strikes a solid balance between authenticity and accessibility. It reinforces the rally fantasy without becoming overwhelming, at least in my eyes. The cars in Drive Rally are clearly inspired by iconic rally vehicles from different eras, though they are represented with fictional names and exaggerated designs. This avoids licensing issues while still tapping into that nostalgic recognition. You can feel what each car is meant to represent, even though legally they can't tell you. Customization though is primarily cosmetic, where you can change liveries, adjust colours, add visual flair. Performance tuning is incredibly minimal, and that is intentional. The game doesn't want you buried in menus tweaking gear ratios, it just wants you out on the road drifting around corners, and that's completely okay with me. While some players may wish for deeper mechanical customization, the lighter approach helps maintain focus on driving skill rather than optimization, and there are games where you can go and do this instead. And honestly, there's something satisfying about shaving seconds off a stage with a car that looks exactly how you want it to. Progression in Drive Rally is intentionally quite lightweight. You're unlocking cars, stages, and cosmetic options. There's no deep career narrative, no long championship arcs with evolving difficulty curves. Instead, progression exists mainly to give structure to time trial racing. Leaderboards are a major pillar of the experience. If you're competitive, this is where the game kinda shines. Replaying stages, refining lines, and chasing faster times becomes genuinely addictive. Even small improvements feel somewhat meaningful. However, for players who rely on structured goals and evolving challenges, the experience may feel thin after the initial novelty. There simply aren't a lot of modes to rotate between. What you see early on is largely what you'll be doing throughout your time with the game. Doesn't make it bad, it just makes it focused. I'll just quickly talk about it, but it doesn't really affect the experience that much. There is another game mode where you drive around each map in like a free roam setting to collect collectibles to move into the next map to do the same thing. I didn't quite figure out what the point was beyond just getting to learn the map, but it's nice to know it's there and it allows you to just drive about in free roam for a bit to learn the game's handling system. Not a major part of the game, but cool that it's there nonetheless. Anyway, visually, Drive Rally embraces a colourful, low-poly aesthetic that perfectly complements its arcade identity. The environments are vibrant without being noisy, terrain features are exaggerated in a way that supports gameplay rather than making it clogged up. Performance is smooth even on modest hardware, like the laptop I've been using over the holidays, which reinforces the sense of speed and momentum. Audio design is functional rather than authentic, engine sounds do the job, the music is energetic, and nothing really overstays its welcome. It's not aiming for realism, it's aiming for atmosphere.
Left one. Left square.
Now, for me, the biggest limitation of Drive Rally is its scope. The core mechanics are strong, but the surrounding systems don't expand much beyond that core. There's room for more modes, deeper progression, or even experimental challenges, so players looking for simulation depth, complex tuning, or long-term career arcs may find the experience a little lacking. But again, as I have mentioned, this is a deliberate choice. The game doesn't overreach, it just focuses on doing one thing really well, and that's arcade rally racing. And at that, it does succeed. So at the end of the day, Drive Rally is a confident, focused arcade rally game that understands its identity. It doesn't try to please everyone, it doesn't chase realism for the sake of it, it just prioritizes feel, flow, and fun. For players who want a nostalgic rally experience, quick satisfying sessions, and competitive time chasing, I would say this game absolutely delivers. It may not have the depth to hold every player long term, but as a modern love letter to classic rally arcade games, Drive Rally earns its place on the starting line, and honestly, sometimes that's exactly what a racing game needs to be. So what do you think of #Drive Rally? Have you played it? Are you gonna play it? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Thank you very much for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to leave a like, and if you haven't done so already, subscribe and tap the bell for notifications to stay up to date with my future uploads. A massive shout out to my Patreon subscribers, and all I really have left to say is #thanks and bye bye.